Following on from our previous conversation with Evan Mitchell, we're going to continue to have a discussion today about millennials and their involvement in the construction industry, and how by considering some new ideas, it may help to improve their well-being and that of the well-being of the organisation as a whole. We're speaking again to Evan Mitchell, who is one of the co-founders of How and Why, the Gen Y specialists. And given that the project life cycle from start to finish furnishes massive opportunities for differences of opinion, the importance of dispute resolution is obviously really important. And to have people on site who are confident and competent in this arena is very important. So can you talk to us a little bit more about that, Evan?
Sure, Rosemary. Well, we hear a lot today about disruption in the business news. Some maverick company takes a contrarian approach to some aspect of their industry, they challenge the status quo and wind up creating a new business paradigm. By far, the single largest disruptor in the workplace today is the generation that's taking over.
So, Evan, how far does this disruption problem spread? Does it affect all organisations within construction, in your opinion?
It is now affecting all organisations. It will continue to affect all organisations. And as with all things, there will be winners and losers. The winners will be those companies who are able to harness the positives that millennials bring to the workplace. Their enthusiasm, their tech savviness, innovation, their aspirations, while at the same time maintaining control over the downsides. And the most significant downside is the generation-wide blind spot in dealing with situations of workplace conflict.
So you mentioned about the winners, but you also talked about the losers. Who are the losers going to be?
The losers in this instance are those organisations who attempt to ignore the problem, because in this case, ignoring the problem actually encourages the problem. In our previous interview, we looked at an example, a millennial site engineer in dispute with a subcontractor over whose responsibility it was to build a wall. Instead of being resolved quickly and cleanly, the millennial employee's lack of know-how in handling conflict causes this dispute to go on and on, far longer than it should have, and with a range of other damaging repercussions. Also, there's the devastating impact on the millennial employee's own confidence in terms of their dealing with subcontractor disagreements in the future. And that's likely to create just one more candidate for industry flight.
So at a time when the industry is suffering serious resource scarcity, attrition by staff, whether they're millennials or other staff, has to have a significant impact on the business. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Well, the situation that we just looked at a moment ago, that company is a loser. And they're a loser in three respects, according to disruption. The three most critical contributors to success, their performance, their people, and their business relationships, have all gone backwards.
So would the natural solution be some kind of dispute resolution training?
Well, that at best is a band-aid. The most effective and long-term solution is to develop millennial employees' negotiation capabilities, to ensure that they have the confidence and the competence to handle the conflict situations that they're going to face in their workplace. And this has the additional personal payoff of improving how they handle their social disputes.
So Evan, how would you recommend we go about developing that negotiation capability, given that it has all the benefits that you've described?
Well, it's important to start with a management briefing. There are so many myths, misunderstandings and mixed messages about this generation. Senior management needs to get on top of the facts. Now, a colleague and I recently had an article published in the US entitled "Managing Millennials, Milkshakes or Mutual Respect." It absolutely has to be mutual respect.
So if we were to think about hosting a management briefing, how long would that last? What kinds of things would you go into, and what would happen after that?
Okay, well, 2 hours is plenty for management to get their heads around everything they need usefully to know about the millennial demographic. Following that would be a workshop that was focused on reshaping the thought processes of millennial employees in 2 ways. First of all, they need to recognise that negotiation is the concrete that keeps organisations and societies together. Rather than retreating from conflict or stubbornly persisting with their own preferred view, it's necessary and rational for them to see negotiation from both sides of the dispute and to go from there. But first of all, the millennials require a negotiation mindset. The sense that compromise, that give and take, is the natural order of things. Once that's achieved, we can move on to negotiation skills. Now, some of those skills will be things that they're already doing, like questioning, but they need to be sharpened and refined in a context. Others will be skills that are less well known, but even more important tactically. Now, the aim is not to make all millennial employees expert negotiators. That's not going to happen. But the aim is to ensure that all millennial employees are able to, with competence, handle the kinds of dispute situations that they are going to face in their workplace, and to be able to manage those with confidence. And it's also important for organisations to recognise that very small improvements in attitudes and skills will bring about much, much larger benefits in terms of efficiencies, in terms of minimised project downtime and disruption, in terms of better staff retention, better staff mental health and well-being, and better business relationships.
How could anyone disagree with that? So effectively what you're saying is that in 2 workshops, one that's the management briefing of about 2 hours, and then something much longer, say 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours?
Well, about 4 hours. It's very important when you're confronting disruption in the workplace that the solution doesn't come with any disruption itself. So it needs to be absolutely flexible to the operations and requirements of the organisation.
So Evan, in conclusion, so that we can perhaps summarise for the audience the content that we've discussed in this second video, what are the key messages that once again you'd like to impart to the group?
A very simple one, that structured negotiation training is the non-disruptive solution to a new and major workplace disruption.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for making your time available.
It was my pleasure,
really
Rosemary. Thank you very much.
And hopefully we'll be able to do more of these.
That would be great.
To follow on from today.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Excellent.
Terrific.